Good evening. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of May 22nd, 2023. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chambers. Are we still not live? Better? We'll give it a second.
City TV.
Okay, we're good. Let's start again. Welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of May 22nd, 2023. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The order of business of the Lincoln City Council is as follows. The clerk shall call items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item shall come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or group, including an address that you may be representing, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization or group, and whether you're speaking in favor of or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items listed under third reading. On the second and last Monday of the month, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor planned for a future date. Madam Clerk, will you please call our first item of business?
Our first item of business today for Monday, May 22nd, 2023 is an announcement. Due to the Memorial Day holiday, City Council will not meet on May 29th, 2023. Next would be our consent agenda, sections 1 through 3.
Is there anyone here to speak on any item on today's consent agenda, items 1, 2, or 3? All right, seeing no one. Madam Clerk?
We can now vote on these items. Item 1A is approving DTE Enterprises LLC doing business as Cliff's Martini Lounge at 5310 South 56th Street, Suite 1 as a Keno Satellite, introduced by Benny. Introduced by Shob. I'm so sorry, sir.
I go by Benny. So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Washington. Comments?
I've been called worse
Madam Clerk?
today.
We do actually have a motion to amend on this item.
Oh, my apologies. Oh, yes, this is the change of name. All right. I would entertain a motion to amend number 1 on this item.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect, thank you. And I believe this motion to amend is the applicant has changing their name to Deb's Place, if I recall correctly. All right, very good. Let's vote now on the motion to amend.
Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. And I'll call the motion, or the vote on the main motion. Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Shob,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay. Item 1B is approving PTP Inc. doing business as Hawks Nest Sports Bar located at 1245 Lee Drive, Suite 110, as a Keno Satellite, introduced by Shob.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Help me out, guys.
Second.
Second, Weber. Any discussion?
Thank you.
All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 1C is approving the award of contract to the low bidder for agreement between the city and Uribe Refuse Services, Inc. for waste and recyclables collection for city, county, PBC locations, bid number 23-118, for a 2-year term with the option to renew for a 2-year additional 2-year terms, introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Weber. Discussion?
Yes. I have one, thank you. I have one question on, I understood the title and read through the attachments, and even though it's a 2-year contract, the title page says annual. Was that corrected? It was page 7, section 8.
It should be a 2-year.
It says, page 7, section 8 says it's a 2-year contract, but on page 3, the contract is listed as annual service.
Sorry, gotta get through all this.
I just assumed it was a typo.
Yeah, it looks like it should just be a typo. It is a 2-year contract.
Okay.
Starting July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025 is the term, with the opportunity to renew 1 2-year period.
Okay. How would we correct that?
Where is it saying? I'm sorry, where is it saying?
Sorry, just pulling it up again.
Page 3 is one of the places where it says annual.
Oh, just at the top where it says annual service?
I think it's just a form that was.
Yeah, I think it's a form. I'm not sure that the annual service needs to be corrected at this point. I mean, it's still, I mean, the language in the contract outlines, the terms of the agreement. They're on I think their standard form. They split it up as an annual service, but I don't,
Okay.
for purposes of the contract, I don't think it, I think the contract still holds. It's still good.
And the resolution front sheet does specify the 2 years, so
Yes.
that should be clear.
Any other questions, Councilwoman?
No other questions?
Okay, very
Very
good.
good catch. Thank you.
Yeah, good catch.
Yeah, very good. I didn't even see it.
Councilman Schob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Elliott, thanks for coming forward.
Yes, thank you.
City waste and recyclables, what does that consist of?
Great question. So in the past, we had 2 separate contracts, one for our waste, our garbage pickup, and then one for our recyclables. What we did to try and get additional competition into this RFP was we combined them into one contract. And this is for all of the trash and recyclables at all of the city, Public Building Commission, county buildings. So this building, it could be libraries, it could be parks, all of those fall within this contract. What we did on the recycling side was this time around, we owned all of the containers, where in the past, the recycling company had to own them. We felt that that could be limiting competition because that is a pretty heavy burden. We did find that this did, we believe, help in price with this. Our trash costs stayed roughly the same as they have been, minus your normal inflation, or ignoring minor inflation. Our recycling contract, though, is about $12,000 less than our prior contracts, and we think that is because we took on the containers, we made the container sizes more consistent so they're easier to pick up, and we're wrapping everything into one contract. So we think ultimately that's resulted in lower prices for the city.
And those are containers are at the recyclable sites located around town containers, or?
They're the ones actually out in the hallways. And so then what happens, but then also the outside sites as well. So when the janitorial services pick them up, they put them in the container outside, which is also a standard consistent size to help, so that the refuse haulers don't need multiple different types of equipment and pick up the canisters.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions for Director Elliott?
$12,000.
On the recycling part of it, the waste was pretty standard, given inflation and annual increase, so it's
Thank
what we
you.
expected. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Madam Clerk?
I'll call the roll. Bowers.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Duden.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Items 2A through 2D were introduced by Schob.
So moved.
There's
Second.
second Weber. Any discussion? All right, seeing none?
Carlson.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Duden.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Okay, that concludes our consent agenda. We shall move on to section 4 of public hearing liquor resolutions. I'll call items 4A, 4B, and 4C together. Item 4A is application of Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Inc., doing business as Love's Country Store number 179 for a Class D liquor license located at 2555 O Street. And the application of Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Inc., doing business as Love's Country Store number 180 for a Class D liquor license located at 8411 Windmill Drive. And the related manager application of Pat J. Doring.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I understand from Investigator Parker that the applicant's not here tonight. Did anyone have any questions for Investigator Parker? However, he is here and could answer some general questions if we had any.
I have some questions.
Okay. Investigator Parker? Councilman, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm just kind of concerned if this is close to a school, Elliott School, as well as the parks. And wanted to find out how many disturbance calls have been at this location, that sort of thing in the last year.
Scott Parker, Lincoln Police Department, 575 South 10th Street. I can find that out for you. I do not have those numbers with me right now. Both of those locations were existing convenience stores already. It sounds like they just bought the properties and are just going to convert them or rename them to Love's Travel or Stop and Country Store. But I can find that information out for you and certainly send it to you.
Okay.
Any other questions, sir? No?
I have a question as a follow-up to Councilman Duden. Are these convenience stores some of the set that were grandfathered in?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, very good. Thank you, Investigator.
I'll get that information for you and
Okay,
email it to you.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Madam Clerk, would you move us on?
I'll be calling item 4D, application of Lincoln Lancaster County Child Advocacy Center, doing business as Brave Be Child Advocacy Center for a special designated license to cover an indoor area measuring approximately 60 feet by 60 feet and an outdoor area measuring approximately 130 feet by 240 feet at 925 Robbers Cave Road on June 11th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Is there anyone here to speak on this application? Yes. Please. If you could just start with your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Abby Worster. My address is 5721 Dennis Drive.
Very good. Could you tell us a little bit about the application?
Yes, so we are going to be having a fundraiser at Robbers Cave for Brave Be Child Advocacy Center, and we're going to bring together 4 local breweries within our service area to provide samples, and then people will be voting on who has the best beer. We're going to have food trucks in the area as well, and we're also going to have yard games for our attendees to enjoy during the event.
Oh, very good. I don't remember getting an invitation. No.
Well, do you follow us on Facebook? Because the invitation was on there.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Do we have any questions for this applicant? No? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sounds like fun.
Thanks.
And Madam Clerk, if you want to move us forward, it looks like we have the associated applications.
Correct. Item 4E is application of Kincaid Brewing Company LLC doing business as Sideshow Spirits for a special designated license to cover an indoor area measuring approximately 60 feet by 60 feet and an outdoor area measuring approximately 130 feet by 240 feet at 925 Robbers Cave Road on June 11th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Is there anyone here to talk on this specific part of this application?
I'm representing everyone.
Yeah, I just need to give a public notice and an opportunity for folks. Thank you, though. All right, very good. Madam Clerk?
Item 4F is application of Zipline Brewing Company LLC doing business as Zipline Brewing Company for a special designated license to cover an indoor area measuring approximately 60 feet by 60 feet and an outdoor area measuring approximately 130 feet by 240 feet at 925 Robbers Cave Road on June 11th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 4F? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Item 4G is application of Salt Mine City LLC doing business as Salt Mine City Brewing Company for a special designated license to cover an indoor area measuring approximately 60 feet by 60 feet and an outdoor area measuring approximately 130 feet by 240 feet at 925 Robbers Cave Road on June 11th, 23 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 4G? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Item 4H, application of Stone Hollow Brewing Company, LLC doing business as Stone Hollow Brewing Company for a special designated license to cover an indoor area measuring approximately 60 feet by 60 feet and an outdoor area measuring approximately 130 feet by 240 feet at 925 Robbers Cave Road on June 11th, 23 from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's move forward.
Item 4I is application of Kincaid Brewing Company doing business as Kincaid Brewing Company for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 105 feet by 46 feet at the Lincoln Arts Festival at 600 P Street on June 17th and 18th, 2023 from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Is there anyone to speak on item 4I? All right, seeing none. Does anyone have any questions for Investigator Parker on item 4I? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Item 4J, application of Glacial Till Vineyard and Winery doing business as Glacial Till Vineyard and Winery for a special designated license to cover an outdoor area measuring approximately 105 feet by 46 feet at the Lincoln Arts Festival at 600 P Street on June 17th and 18th, 23 from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 4J? All right, seeing none.
Mr. Chair, seeing no one coming forward to speak on these items, I'd like to move approval of items 4A through 4J.
Second.
Second, Washington. Madam Clerk?
Carlson,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried, 7-0. That concludes section 4 of our agenda. We shall move on to section 5, public hearing resolutions. Item 5A is approving service agreement between the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department and UNMC College of Dentistry for clinical training of dental students, including dental hygiene students, for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2024 and expiring December 31st of 2026.
Very good. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Hello, Director.
Hello, good evening. Pat Lopez, Health Director. This is a contract that we probably had over 20 years now. We do it for 24 months at a time. We provide a lot of training for the dental college, both with dentists and dental hygienists in our clinic, and our contract dentists oversee them. And it's very beneficial for our students coming out to practice in the community. And hopefully we try to keep some of them here in Lincoln so that we can provide more care. But we're rated number 1 as their clinical site, so we're pretty proud of our work we do.
Very good. Any questions for Director Lopez? All right. Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Is there anyone else to speak on this item?
All right. Let's move on.
Item 5B, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23004, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed amendment to the Antelope Valley Redevelopment Plan to add the 18N Building Redevelopment Project for the construction of a 5-story multi-unit dwelling with on-site parking on property generally located at 18th and N Streets.
Good evening. Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. We're asking for a 2-week delay. There have been abutting properties that are trying to work out a few issues, window placement, snow removal, and I think that this would be able to come back to you on June 5th, and we'll be able to have a public hearing at that point, understanding that anybody that came down today would be able to speak to this as well.
Yep, absolutely. Any questions for Director Marvin at this point in time? Okay, very good. Thank you, Director. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this item today? Item 5B. All right, very good. Let's move on to vote, Madam Chair, or Madam Clerk.
Okay. Item 5A is approving service agreement between the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department and UNMC College of Dentistry for clinical training of dental students, including dental hygiene students, for a 2-year term beginning January 1st, 2024 and expiring December 31st of 2026, introduced by Show.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Weber. Discussion? Seeing none.
Bowers.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Duden.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. Item 5B, Comprehensive Plan Conformance 23004, application of the Urban Development Director to review as to conformance with the 2050 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan, a proposed amendment to the Antelope Valley Redevelopment Plan to add the 18N Building Redevelopment Project for the construction of a 5-story multi-unit dwelling with on-site parking on property generally located at 18th and N Streets, introduced by Shob.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Councilman Carlson? Do you want to make a motion to delay?
Yes, make a motion to delay 2 weeks.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Shob, did you have a question at all?
I was going to say June 5th, with public hearing or without public hearing?
Let's include public hearing. Does that sound good? sir?
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Carlson.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Duden.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0. That concludes Section 5 of our agenda. We shall move on to Section 6, Public Hearing Ordinances, Second Reading, and Related Resolutions. Item 6A is change of zone 23022, request of Christ United Methodist Church for a change of zone from R6 residential to R6 residential with landmark overlay on the property generally located at 1333 North 33rd Street.
Is there anyone here to speak on item 6A? Please come forward. If you could just please start with your name and address.
Karen Lamb, 4901 Northwest Fairway Drive. Hello. I would just like to say that this change of zone will facilitate the development of a commercial kitchen in this building for the purpose of offering it to entrepreneurs in the neighborhood and in the city who want to start or expand an existing food business but are not able to afford market rates to rent a commercial kitchen. So hopefully this would spur some business development, help some neighborhood people, create some job opportunities. That's our purpose.
Perfect. Thank you for coming down. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
You're welcome.
Questions, Counselor? Yes.
Staff question, please, Mr.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pastor Lamb, thanks for coming forward. I appreciate what you're doing in the community, and I'm looking forward to seeing more activity on that corner.
Well, let's hope it all works out.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Chair.
good. Any other questions at all for the applicant?
No.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Move on to 6B. Oh,
Now I have a
yes,
staff
sir.
question about this item.
About 6A?
Yes, please.
Oh, very good.
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey, would you please come forward? My apologies, Councilman Shob.
That's okay. I kind of jumbled that up a little bit there.
David Carey, Director of the Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street.
Mr. Carey, thanks for coming forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me a chance to ask, what is a historic landmark overlay? Help me understand what this is and how this makes things different and better, or different.
Yeah, so this is a tool that's available in the zoning code when we do have a historic structure. In this case, obviously the church. So this change of zone creates the local landmark designation on the First Evangelical Church. Allows for the ability to do different types of uses that would otherwise not be allowed in this residential zoning district. So that's the basic purpose of it, and it allows for some flexibility while still providing some maintenance and preservation guidelines that go along with the approval, so that the physical structure of the church is maintained and the integrity of the historic nature of it is still there over time.
So it still remains R6, but R6 with the.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions?
Got a question?
Councilman.
Does that mean people could be in there? Is there a time limit on how late this can operate there, that sort of thing?
I don't believe there's any time constraints included in this.
Okay.
I think the idea is that when it was operating fully as a church, there was activity there as well, and there would be similar amounts of activity. And as was mentioned by the applicant, the idea is to have success so that more can be going on there. So the way we've looked at it is it's a good reuse of the structure. Certainly maintaining the integrity of the historic nature of it while still providing neighborhood services and whatnot in the neighborhood, which is always a good thing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Let's move on to 6B.
Item 6B is change of zone 08041E, application of Clark and Anderson to amend the Pine Woods planned unit development to amend signs and the use regulations on property generally located at South 70th Street and Pine Lake Road.
Mr. Gergen.
Good evening. My name is Tim Gergen with Clark and Anderson, 1010 Lincoln Mall. And congratulations to the new council members. This application here is a PUD amendment for two items. One is to allow personal services within this PUD. This PUD is located at 70th and Pine Lake Road. Here on this map, you can see new Nebraska Parkway name, Home Depot, Pine Lake Road, the roundabout at 70th and Pine Lake Road, here 70th, newly built fire station here. This site had the infrastructure installed this last year and this winter through here, just finishing up, and we're getting a coffee shop is installed at this location here, and we're under construction here with this building here. We have a salon tenant that is ready to move in. The PUD did not explicitly allow personal services, and so we're having to come back in and amend the PUD to allow personal services. Change we're asking here is a sign amendment. The PUD right now is an R3 PUD, which then follows R3 sign regulations, and R3 sign regulations are very restrictive, very small. You really can't see them for off an arterial road like 70th and Pine Lake Road. And so we're asking for a sign regulations that follow a normal, typical neighborhood business center, which is a B2 zoning. The city staff, we worked with city staff all along on these PUD amendments, have got staff approval, got approved through Planning Commission through a consent agenda. I've not had any neighborhood concerns, and happy to take any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Gergen? Yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Gergen, could you explain what the B2 signing parameters are? What are the rules there?
Yeah, so essentially it's just more size. Allows size on the building facade to be a little bit bigger than what the R3 would allow, and a monument sign we're really mainly focusing on a facade on the sign, on the building signage.
And the facade sign, would it be lit?
Correct, it will be
And
lit.
which direction will that face?
So the building that is under construction will have signage along 70th Street.
Oh, 70th Street. And is there, it looks like there's access onto 70th Street?
There
On the
is.
south end of that?
Right here.
Okay. And then if a monument sign were to be put in, where would a monument sign?
Probably,
All right. And would that also hold more than one business?
yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on this agenda item? Item 6B. Okay, seeing none, let's move on.
Item 6C is text amendment 23007, request of Clark and Anderson to amend Lincoln Municipal Code Section 27.62.120, commercial recreation and entertainment facilities use group to remove the required 100-foot setback for a social hall when it is located next to a golf course or hiker-biker trail in a residential district.
Mr. Gergen.
Hello again. So, albeit we're amending the text amendment, we have worked with city staff on this and have found that instead of making an amendment change for one specific project, we thought it was in the best interest of the city code to change the text for all projects. And this is, I'm going to put up the example project that led to this text amendment. There's a code for social halls that has setbacks up against residential districts. So in this particular instance, we're planning for a wedding reception hall along 14th and Yankee Hill Road. There's a vacant piece of property located in this corner, abutting Wilderness Ridge Golf Course. The golf course is zoned, residentially zoned. As you can see, there's no residential property within that area. It's a golf hole, and then we have office business park here. And so we thought that that was probably in the best interest is to exclude golf courses from the social hall setback distance.
Very good. Any questions for the applicant? All right, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify on item 6C? All right, seeing none, let's move on.
I'll be calling items 6D and 6E together. Item 6D is text amendment 23004, request of Centerpoint to amend Lincoln Municipal Code Sections 27.63.400, historic preservation to allow greater flexibility for signage on historic properties in residential districts and to remove language made irrelevant under section 27.69.160 special permitted uses. And the related special permit 17030C, application of Centerpoint to amend their existing special permit to allow an increase in signs allowed in residential district on property generally located at 2202 South 11th Street.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, members of the council, my name is Tom Houston. My address is 233 South 13th Street here in Lincoln. Appearing before you tonight on behalf of Centerpoint, with me is Topher Hansen, the Executive Director of Centerpoint. Two items in front of you really deal with the signage for the new campus for health and well-being. We had a ribbon cutting last Thursday, which culminated about 5 years of work on this project. And it's a complex building. If you know any history of it, it was originally the dormitory for the St. Elizabeth Nursing College, and then it became Trabert Hall for how many years, I'm not certain. But the Centerpoint negotiated with the County Board of Commissioners and acquired it in January of 2019. And following design and the most complex financing I've ever seen, we were able to put this project together, and it's in operation today. We ended up condominiumizing the building because there's 5 floors to it. It was a very inaccessible building, and now it's fully accessible because of the design that was undertaken by the project architects, Clark Anderson. And we have 2 stories on the 3rd and 4th floor that are affordable housing, utilizing the low-income housing tax credit and the state affordable housing tax credit. And we also utilized tax increment financing from the City of Lincoln, so thank you very much, City. The city was very instrumental in this project and helping us on a lot of problems that we experienced with the project. The reason that we're in front of you today, on the overhead, you will see that we have some signs that we want to put on the building. And we had two problems here. Number one, this is located in the R4 zone. We had a choice. I could have pursued a change of zone to a commercial zone because there's other business zones along South Street. Even though the address says 2101 South 11th Street, it's really 11th and South. We have frontage onto Saratoga Street to the south, but that's the neighborhood. The building's really oriented to the north, to South Street, but it's approximately 100 feet from South Street. So we need signage sufficient to be able to get and direct traffic off of South Street to this facility. So we worked with the planning department for a number of months and came up with a solution that involves the text amendment that's in front of you, that expands the definitions available for the planning department on what signage is permissible as a part of the historic preservation special permit process, and ultimately gives the city council the authority to grant even further modifications. Right now, previously in this R4 zone, we would have been limited to a sign that was approximately 20 square feet. That would not have enabled us to get traffic off South Street that are trying to come to this facility. So the code will be, or is proposed to be, changed to a 32 square foot signage as a wall sign, and you have the authority as the city council then to expand it up to 50 feet. What we're proposing is the three signs that you see on the overhead, one of which is 40 square feet, and it's actually the logo, because that's how you calculate signage under our signage code. So the two items in front of you are the text amendment, number one, and then the second item is really an amendment to the historic preservation special permit for Center Point at this location that would incorporate this sign package into our design. So I know Topher would also like to say a few words to you.
Yeah, thank you. Topher Hansen, President and CEO of CenterPoint, 2633 P Street. Just to step in and say, one, thank you for helping us to cut the ribbon, Tom. It represents a big deal to us to be partners with the city, and the city has partnered well with us over time, and we have prospered by that, I think. So I hope what we can do is carry that further, not only this project, but also programming that we engage in to help people in our community, and you all are supportive of that, and I appreciate it. So, and I'm hoping to then organize something where all of you can come in to see the structure. It not only serves a purpose that will be big in our community, and this gives us a greater platform to serve the people of our community, but it also is a gorgeous structure, and it's something to, I think, appreciate. So we'll organize that. But I come here really primarily just say thanks.
And the one thing I did want to point out too is I do want to extend my thanks to the Planning Department, the Public Works Department, the Urban Development Department, and the Building and Safety Department, because we all worked together to get this done, because it was a challenge. It was a challenging building. That building will be there for another couple hundred years, I would imagine. It's built that solidly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Houston? Councilwoman Washington.
I do. I'm curious about a couple of things with the signs. The logo sign, is it a lit logo sign?
Backlit.
Yeah, it's backlit.
And then does this amend the historic preservation? Because it's on the old building, yes? Or is it on the new part of the building?
It's on the new part. The logo is on the new stair tower that really provides elevator access to the residential units, and then the canopy signs are obviously on the canopy. Okay. That's a part of the new addition that really allows the accessibility to be accommodated. So yeah, it was kind of pretty amazing to me at the open house. There was I don't know, 4 or 5 graduates of the nursing program that were there and saw their pictures on the wall, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So maybe this is a question for Director Carey, but I'm just curious, these amendments to the historic preservation guidelines, this is so any historic property could?
It's pretty narrowly drawn. It does not apply to the single-family homes or two-family homes. because I think that the staff report indicates that 70% of the historic preservation special permits exist in residential zones, which is a high number.
Yes.
But it doesn't expand the flexibility for the single-family homes or the two-family homes. It does expand it for other uses in the residential zones. But for a building like this, in context of the historic preservation special permit that allows an adaptive reuse of this building, you need to have some flexibility on it.
Understood.
Ultimately, the city council retains control of it, though.
Understood. Thank you.
Will you have a sign out by South Street at all?
No.
No, nothing?
That is going to be a challenge.
Why is that a challenge?
We don't have direct frontage onto South Street, and I'm hoping we don't need it. But I'm just warning you, in a year, we could be back and
Yeah, I was
asking.
gonna say, because the emergency room for a hospital, we
Yeah.
have signs all
Yeah.
over the place, so.
Yeah, it's a challenge. We'd have to amend the special permit process and amend, we have an access easement through the property owned by the Emerald facility. The facility that they bought from Lancaster County. We have an access easement to get to South Street, but we would have to place a monument sign on their property, which would require us to amend their special permit. We elected not to run that gauntlet yet, to see if we need it first. So.
I wish I had a nickel for every time I explain to somebody where that building is, because they don't know where the building
Yeah,
is, as big as it is.
I remember
And-
going there when it was Lincoln Action Program.
Oh,
against
sure.
that building.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
And my 9 times out of 10 orientation to them is, do you know where Zesto is? And they go, yeah. And then they go, oh, that building, yeah.
If you see it once, you'll recognize it.
Right. Other questions? All right, very good. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak on items 6D or 6E? We'll hear either one of them at this time. All right, seeing none, let's move on.
I'll be calling item 6F, text amendment 23006, request of Tammy Casey to amend Lincoln Municipal Code section 27.62.030, agricultural use group to allow storage of commercial vehicles and equipment in the AG and AGR zoning districts.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak on 6F? Mr. Austin.
Very briefly, my name is Bill Austin, 2511 South 77th Place, and I'm an attorney representing Tammy Casey on this application. We have made a request to the council to withdraw this application, and it requires council approval to do so. So we're asking for your approval. Just briefly, we have made an application, it proceeded through the Planning Commission, came to the council. Upon reflection last week, we thought that rather than ask the council to make significant amendments to the application as proposed, that it would be better form to back off, regroup, and reapply. And that's
Right.
what we would be intending to do.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Austin? All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Is there a motion to withdraw?
I will move to withdraw.
Second?
Second.
Councilman Duden seconded. Let's go ahead and take a vote on the motion to withdraw.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Duden,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber, Weber.
Yes.
Sorry. I'll get it. Beck, yes.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes section 6 of our agenda. Section 7 is resolutions first readings, or items 7A through 7E. Section 8 is ordinances first reading and related resolutions, items 8A through 8K. And our pending list is section 9, items 9A through 9D.
All right, very good. Tonight we have public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not planned to appear on a future agenda may do so at this time. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of the number of topics. For the month of May, the open microphone sessions are May 8th and today, May 22nd. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
Hello, my name is Matt Schulte. I'm here on behalf of Campus Life, 6401 Pine Lake Road. while I do serve other roles in this community, that's what brings me here tonight. I actually have a kind of a unique story I would like to tell. In January, you as a city voted to blanket increase the floodplain from 1 foot above floodplain requirements. And I'm here to tell you just a brief story of how that's impacted the nonprofit that I get a chance to run. I've got some pictures here I'll show you too. In 2020, we began a capital campaign to raise money to expand our facility on Pine Lake Road. This is Pine Lake Road. 70th is about a block and a half to the east. We have a current house. We're looking to add a new building to our property that would include a gym, a couple small classrooms, and then some supporting restrooms and a kitchen. Nothing fancy, only about a 10,000 square foot building, but something that would have a major impact on the number of kids that we get to come out every week. Currently our house is a house. It's a converted house. So holding 30 to 40 kids in there works well, but much more than that on a wintry day doesn't work too well, and it turns out most of the school year is wintry. So anyways, we launched this capital campaign. This is a picture showing our whole property. We have about 10 acres here. There is the Beal Slough runs right through the middle of our property. So we've got about 3 acres on the south side of the property and 7 acres on the north side of the property. So we knew from the beginning that we did have floodplain issues. We've known that since we've owned the properties in 2020, or since 2000. Here's a map of the current floodplain levels that exist on the property. So we knew that we had a problem. We were willing to and do all the work necessary to move the dirt in, to bring it up 1 foot above the floodplain. The estimated cost was $90,000. Like I said, we set out to do this. Last February, we began the process of working with the city. We worked with LTU. That actually was a very long process because they wanted us to get rid of our driveway, go across the drywall company, connect to the fire station to get to the road. Then once that was amended, then they wanted us to put a turn lane in. Both of those were going to have about a $200,000 cost. And we were able to finally get that resolved. And then in October, we began the process of talking with Watershed Management. At that point, it became obvious that there was a potential change coming that would increase this to 2 foot. So we were told we could be grandfathered in through the process because we had begun the process when we did. Now we're being told we cannot. And the outcome is, here's an example of our property. We've had to relocate the building. That's fine, not a big deal. And we've had to do a ton of dirt work now potential dirt work in order to make this happen. What was a $90,000 worth of dirt work is now a $250,000 worth of dirt work. $250,000 is about 10% of our capital campaign. And so this is a major, major increase. Well, 1 foot doesn't seem like that much when you look at a specific story of a project that is here to help kids and advance kids. You can see the major problems that this has caused. Why is it increased to $250,000? I mentioned earlier that there's a Beal Slough right here. Now, in order to get we are in what's called a no net rise. You may not be familiar with that phrase, but the idea is that if we bring a ton in, we have to take a ton of dirt out. So in order to find enough dirt that we can remove, we now have to cross Beal Slough and dig a retention pond over here. I would gladly take some questions if someone...
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Okay, good. I got a minute still. So the Beal Slough has now caused this to... Now we have to go across here to dig in order to bring enough dirt in, increasing the total price of this to $250,000. We examined other options. This one essentially puts a river down the middle of our property, but again, it lowers the cost, but not enough, and plus then we have kids now jumping over a creek in the middle of our property. Does that seem like a good idea to anybody? Probably not. But we have come to the place where we have submitted this for floodplain through Watershed. We know we have submitted this plan for Watershed as it is. It's going to cost us $250,000, but it has almost tripled the cost of just simply the dirt work that it would take to create a simple youth center that would create a gym, a couple small spaces, classroom spaces, a restroom, and a supporting kitchen. I would gladly answer any questions. If you guys have any more questions or expand on any of the stuff I've briefly presented to you as quickly as I could.
Any questions for Matt?
I have some.
Councilman Duden, please go ahead.
Who told you you could not be grandfathered?
So, here's what we were told. Actually, I think I've got even a timeline back here, so I can remember, keep it in place. In October, the watershed management led by Tim had told us we could get grandfathered in. Once the resolution, Zoc, thank you. Tim Zoc, then once the resolution was already actually passed, we went back to him and said, okay, now we're ready to be grandfathered in. Here's what we were told. Watershed said, well, we can grandfather you in at 1 foot above, but we can't guarantee that if we grandfather this in at 1 foot, we can't guarantee that building and safety will issue a building permit for 1 foot under. And even if building and safety issues a building permit for 1 foot and over, we don't know when FEMA comes back to us to ask us where you are on the floodplain. We think you're going to have to qualify. We don't know what we can say because the rule says 2 foot. You're now at 1 foot. So you'll probably be in the floodplain. You'll probably need flood insurance for the rest of the time that you own this building. And so we were told we could be grandfathered in. Watershed then said, yeah, we can grandfather you in, but there's all these other departments and federal department that would majorly impact that. I would add maybe one other thing, Mr. Duden, to your question. How could we have resolved this, all right? What is the possible solutions? The number one solution that I would point to is come back to this map. And I would say if the city had followed the recommendations of people from the development community, and one of those recommendations was to adjust the maps first and then increase the floodplain. Let me point you back to this map here for a second. Here's the Beal Slough running through, going under Pine Lake Road. In 2018, Pine Lake Road was a 2-lane road. Pine Lake Road had 3 culverts about this big going underneath it by 10 year would flood. Underneath this blue in dirt that was brought in, the not is that was
Councilman?
Sorry.
If the council, this is not a
Invitation, the mapping.
So that is prohibitive for us.
Insurance.
Yeah. That plane, you can see it is built area over here for the water that's rolling off of the property. So I don't know if the whole parking lot is fully out of the floodplain or not.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I will just hand these for you guys. I did bring a copy of the capital campaign documents for you guys to consider and look at.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Schulte. Is there anyone else here who would like to comment during our public comment period? Please come up forward. You have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Maimun Qureshi, and I live at 8040 Abigail Drive.
Thank you.
When I come here to the City Council today, I'm talking about the growth and infrastructure for Lincoln. There's no doubt that Lincoln's currently growing in population regardless of whatever pace. And when a city grows, so does everything that comes with it, especially infrastructure. Living in the city Lincoln is right now, it's a heavily automobile-oriented environment. And speaking as somebody who regularly uses both modes of transportation, whether maybe through pedestrian, sidewalks, cyclist trails, transit, using a car, my main issue I come to you guys is how there's not an equal division between each mode, especially for sidewalks. When you walk down major arterial roads, the massive noise of cars, the lack of shade, and the lack of protection is just dangerous. And if I had more time, I could probably name multiple examples of why that can be an issue. And what I come to you is the city council has a responsibility, help manage the city also. When you look to other cities such as Calgary and Portland, they had a similar situation. Started out small and then expanded. But when they expanded, they made major changes, and that major change seemed complicated, but in the end, it paid off. Lincoln, as a medium-sized city, has the ability to show other cities across the nation how to really build quality infrastructure for each side, whether you're riding the bus, cycling, walking, driving, all methods of transportation. Other ideas, suggestions come into play also. When you create this division, you also have to account buildings when you create them. We can't continue to build major national retailers with massive surface lots that sometimes even span bigger than the building itself. Not only is that an eyesore to everybody, but it's also not benefiting many. When you create dense urban spaces that create an equal amount between the two, such as Village Gardens, it's able to bring people together. When you walk down the district, the Village Gardens, you see vibrancy. You see people playing music, talking with each other at restaurants. You see people hanging out, kids at the ice cream store. And when you look at that, it makes you think something different. And Village Gardens doesn't restrict cars. It just creates that equal division between two. If you're in a car, you still easily can access it with a feasible amount of parking. If you're walking, you have an easy access to it. It offers diverse housing, it offers more improvement to businesses, and just allows more for everybody. It's really benefiting the economy for the city and just bringing in a positive, vibrant community to Lincoln. Lincoln needs to slow down its expansion outwards and needs to start creating dense urban spaces, especially up through its urban core, such as downtown itself. Need to start removing surface lots, as an example, and start creating more density. Density not only grows the economy, but also provides welfare to the citizens too. More apartments, more businesses, as I mentioned. It's overall just benefiting the community.
Very good, thank you. Questions? All right, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak during public comment? Please come forward.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Very impressive.
Hi, I'm Rosina Paolini, 1850 Dakota, and not even on a good day am I that articulate, right? It was really good to see you in the paper. Thank you. I'm so glad to see our new council members today. I had the most amazing experience at the Planning Commission last week on Wednesday. We had a developer, a stakeholder, a lawyer, planning, all come together, policy and action items highlighted every one. The process was amazing. They sat down together, they went through the comprehensive plan, they looked at what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, highlighted absolutely everything that was appropriate, and then went above and beyond, like buffers above and beyond. It'll come to you really soon here, because Wilderness Park someday will be this amazing park in the middle of a city just like Milwaukee. But when we have developers with the foresight to sit down with the stakeholders and have these really tough conversations that really took over a year, if I understand correctly, the outcome is going to be phenomenal. We're going to save Wilderness Park. We've got industrial zoning happening. We're filling some gaps where we needed them. Like, super impressed with the process. How do we get that process happening on every development that comes before our eyes? Because it's amazing. I mean, it takes time, but the outcome will benefit this city, sir, in his lifetime. So I just wanted to share how excited I was about that process and how much I really hope it's replicated. Thanks, guys. Really good to have you here. Really funny to see you in a different seat. Take care. Have a great early evening.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here to testify during public comment? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I move adjournment.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Duden. Madam Clerk?
Duden,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
We are adjourned.